Go Blue, everybody. We have a mega show today. Grant Perry joining us. Rohan from Bucky's Fifth Quarter later for the Wisconsin preview. It's all coming up next on Michigan Wolverines Live. And here we go. Episode 219, Wisconsin week here at Michigan Wolverines Live. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. I'm John Diadamo. I'm going to be taking you through the next, I'd say, 2 hours. Follow me on X at John Diadamo. And we, of course, are coming to you from YouTube. We're coming to you from Twitch, X. And don't forget, we sound good on radio. So check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, and iHeart. As you go ahead and join us, especially for this episode, folks, because we've got multiple guests. It's going to be a great time. Everyone got to hit the like, hit that subscribe, hit the bell, and tell a friend. Go into message board, whatever. Let people know that we're live, and we'll really get this thing rolling. And, of course, send in a super chat for your comment or question to be read on screen, especially if you want to ask our guests questions, you want to ask us questions. Send in a super chat. That's what we're going to be taking today. And here comes my partner in crime every Tuesday night, TJ Ronin in the house. How you doing? Are you as pumped as I am? This is great to be back.
Yeah, man.
Great to be doing this.
Yeah, excited to have Grant on with us. Excited that we have a game this Saturday. I was bored out of my mind Saturday watching these other teams play.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it, man. Exciting week, a bunch to talk about, and can't wait to get to it, man.
Absolutely. And we got members of the community hanging out with us. Drufus is here. Thank you to Jason Jenkins, who just became a YouTube member. So that's very cool. In fact, Connor Stallion's espionage team.
Oh, shit, man. Nice. Yeah.
Wow.
Listen, the Connor Stallions tier we're getting up there. We're getting up to 50. So shout out to everybody in that tier, and shout out to everyone a part of the other tiers too. The community is getting large. We're getting up there, man. We may surpass last year's totals. We're trending in a good direction.
Facts. And thank you, Jason, for joining that crew. We got Tom in the house, Kenji, Mark, Michigan, and someone said, who's got it better than us?
Nobody, especially not Ohio State, bro. Definitely not Ohio State. Losers.
Facts. So before we bring on our very special guest, we do want to thank the good folks at the Winn Agency. They've been here for us each and every week, and they're really awesome people. If you have any of the health insurance or life insurance needs, let them know. But here we go with the actual piece here. At Winn Agency, we try to make things as simple as possible. We now have 2 self-service options available on our website. Check out the links in the chat to run your own health insurance and life insurance quotes. This service is available 24/7, 365. 2026 plan prices will be available in November. So thanks again to the Winn Agency for sponsoring our season.
Winn Agency, the best agency. Get your health and life insurance quotes from them.
So, folks, I think we've been pretty outspoken that we love our team, but that there's been some need for potential improvement, especially in the wide receiver room. So we thought, why not bring on somebody who's lived and breathed it in Ann Arbor for 4 years? We have in the house Grant Perry joining us. Grant, go Blue. Welcome, Michigan Wolverines Live.
Go Blue, baby. And thanks for having me, guys. Excited to talk some ball and especially, surrounding the receiver topic, it's close to home. So excited to get into it, man.
Yeah. Looking forward
Absolutely. To it. And we do want to let people know, obviously, where they could find you. You're a co-host of the Believe in Michigan podcast, which, so is that a good place to check out what you're doing?
Yeah. So check us out on Believe Sports Network. That's the general network. You're going to find a bunch of stuff on there. Me and Brandon Brown, we do 2 podcasts. We do Believe in Michigan. We also do Believe in the Big Ten. Just kind of talking ball, covering the Big Ten. And then obviously, with Believe in Michigan, just talking Michigan, anything and everything. So having fun with it, man. Anytime I can get closer to the game, and especially if it's near Michigan, near a team that I have a big place in my heart for, be able to talk about them. It's just a no-brainer.
Absolutely, man. So, all right, well, let's get into I know you cover the Big Ten, but can we just be honest, Grant? We talk about the team that matters in the Big Ten, and that's Michigan Wolverines. And so let's kind of talk about this season, man. What's your thoughts on the Michigan season so far, and what are your overall thoughts on the performance to this point?
Yeah, I mean, good question. And I think you got to kind of look at it, and we've had 4 games, we're 3-1. You kind of look at it in portions. You start off the season, high aspirations, right? We come out, play a decent game versus New Mexico, but there's opportunities that you feel like we can correct. And it turns out that New Mexico team might be a little bit better than we expected as well. So that's a good sign on our end. But really the major point and kind of the pivot in these 4 games, we all know, came week 2 versus Oklahoma. And you can look at it 2 ways. One, you can look at it as, hey, we took a loss and, we may never, recoup from that. Or we did take a loss, but we took a loss to what we think is a very elite team with a very good quarterback. And we were in that game. We were down 8 points going into the 4th quarter. So we were within 1 possession and we didn't play a great game. So there's a lot of benefits in that, a lot of good things you can look at from that. And then you look, past that week, right? You got an opponent in Central. You want to really just dominate. You want to see, full execution. And we saw that. We saw Bryce really get unlocked. And that kind of really brought the spirits back up and gave me, I'm sure you guys as well, a lot of confidence heading down into Lincoln. So I think when you look at it as a kind of a timeline almost, it's up, Oklahoma, it's down. But, you can look at the down as like, hey, there's still good things to learn. We didn't get blown out. We were in that game in Oklahoma with a freshman quarterback, and then it rises back up for Central. Everyone's pleased with that, and then a great game versus Nebraska. But still, it's a lot of things to work on, things that we can correct. So it's been up and down, but the downs have been downs where you can recoup from, and you feel good about, and you still have positivity. After Oklahoma, it's like, but we played Central really well, and then we played Nebraska really well, and it's kind of some of these teams are starting to form. You're starting to see the identity of these teams, and you're like, all right, hey, we got an opportunity to roll into November 29th with 1 loss. Really looking to make a name on this season. So, positive outlook, a lot of good things ahead for sure. I think for the Maize and Blue.
All right.
Absolutely. So, yeah, go ahead.
All right, well, I was gonna say, well, so what are you speaking of the team and seeing the team evolve here? What's your thoughts on Bryce Underwood going so far?
Yeah, I mean, he's a special cat, man, and I think that's an understatement. I think we all know that. And I actually had the opportunity. I do some broadcasting with State Champs. It's a local high school network here in Michigan, and they cover all the best games every Friday night. And I'm still doing that now, actually. But I had the opportunity. I covered 3 of Bryce's games, so I had the opportunity to see him in high school, and I got to see how special he was. I saw him take over Clarkston with solely his legs. I saw him attack Howell with his arm. Like, there was different games where he showed like, hey, he can take over a game in different different areas and different angles. But again, I think the way that he comes out and takes control of the offense, like, forget about passing stats, forget about the stuff that everyone's looking at statistical wise. For a freshman to be able to go out there and look confident, have poise, be able to run the offense. And if you look through each week, like, the pre-snap penalties are going down, so the procedures are getting better. You're starting to see, like, Oklahoma, there wasn't much adjustments, especially when they crowded that line of scrimmage, cover 0 looks. And as you go on, Nebraska showed some of that, and Bryce was able to communicate, really get the message out. So you're seeing slow growth, but like growth that like you're already impressed with that he has already. And I think the passing stats will come. I think receivers have to help out with that as well. And I think it's also a little bit of a balance with Chip Lindsey and hey, I want to put enough on Bryce's plate to give him answers, but I don't want to make this too cloudy where he's not understanding. He's getting confused, and he's going to line of scrimmage, and he doesn't know where his best look is. So I think it's a marriage. It's hey, they're getting the flows and figuring out what works and what doesn't. But to your question and to finish this up, I mean, very, very special kid. Very excited that he is with us and not down there at LSU. I couldn't imagine watching it. He probably would have stepped in now for LSU at some point. I know Garrett Nussmeier's somewhat injured, and they're having a slow season, offensively to start. So happy he's in the maize and blue, and I mean, the trajectory on what we have for the next couple of years is just the nation's on notice. And I think too, if you're a receiver, man, in the portal days right now, or you're a prospect, like, what do you want as a prospect? You want to, hopefully, if you are a prospect that has aspirations to go to the next level, you want to be seen by NFL talent. Bryce is going to be attracting 30 scouts a game here these next couple of years. So, like, as a receiver, I don't see why you wouldn't want to come here. But that wraps up. That's a long-worded answer, but one sentence: Bryce is very special.
Absolutely, very true. And, you mentioned Chip Lindsey, and another reason we were kind of high on the season coming into it. Not only did they go out and get the #1 recruit in the nation, but they went out and made a change at offensive coordinator. They go out, they look at UNC, and they're like, they're doing something right. Let's go out and get Chip Lindsey to come in and do what he does. What do you think has been working well with his offense, and where would you like to see maybe some try something else?
Yeah. Well, so I mean, I think the #1 thing that stands up, and I mean, when you watch a game, it's the run game. Like, he's finding mismatches, he's finding angles, he's finding leverage to get Justice to the ability to hit these home runs. And we've seen, Marshall hit a home run here last week. So the run game has really come along. It's looking really good, and that's what you want to see, right? Because I think, and if you look at Nebraska, they've kind of changed their culture. Not Nebraska, excuse me, Wisconsin. They've kind of changed since Luke Fickell's been there. It's kind of been, once it was Jonathan Taylor and those big old linemen, and they used to run that football, and that's what you knew you were going to get, and they specialized in it, and they were very good at it. And when you bring in a new OC here at Michigan, having seen what Michigan's done in the past with, prior to Chip Lindsey, it's been identity is in the run game, and everything else works off of that. So him coming in and not tweaking that to the point where it doesn't, like, offense in the pass game is, there's some question marks here where we got to figure out, but the run game's still there and it's good. So he hasn't shaken the boat too much in that regard, and that's fantastic. The run game has to be there. That's Michigan football. We have to be able to run the football. And then an area of where we just need to develop, and I can't really say it's just on Chip Lindsey. Like, it's a all hands on deck. Like, I'm sure if Chip Lindsey had the ability to call plays, but also go run them and execute them to how he wanted to, like, he would probably do that. But that's not how it works. And he's got to get these young receivers to be able to win versus man coverage. And I think an area in which I think me, but probably you guys and a lot of the Michigan faithful, it's just the drop back pass game. Just being able to, hey, Bryce, take a 3-step, take a 5-step, just let's go through your progressions and really try to work on that drop back pass game. We've seen the boot, we've seen the rollout. We've seen some quick games, some RPO action.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the East-West, we saw a lot of that in Oklahoma. And you know, Chip, he heard us. He looked in the mirror, and he got away from that somewhat. So he listens. He's adaptable. You know, but I think if I want to see something improve, it's the drop back pass game. But it's not just Chip. It's Bryce being comfortable with what they give him. It's the receivers winning versus their coverage, whether it's man, zone, knowing whether to convert the routes, sit. You know, a lot of moving factors. But run game has been great. Love that he's kept that stable. And then would love to see the drop back pass game kind of evolve, because as we know, come late, especially if we want to be a playoff team, we saw Blake and Donovan, they were had all those runs. They hit those runs, but JJ McCarthy was the difference in a lot of some of those throws that we needed. Not a lot, not 30, 40 throws a game, but some of those big chain moving throws. And I don't think we're quite there yet. So if we develop that, I think we're in a good position here as the season moves forward.
So one thing about Bryce Underwood's game, Grant, is I feel like obviously a very evolved, for his age, a very evolved passer, very skilled, but he does appear to be lacking the feel for the 20+ yard shots. I mean, I don't know how you like. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, now the other like side of that is his wide receivers giving him the opportunity to hit those shots in terms of getting separation? What's your thoughts there on our deeper shots? Because I feel like our short to intermediate passing game is fairly effective as long as we catch the ball. I think we'd all agree that that's been a major area that needs to improve. And we know Shermore spoke. It was a focus of the bye week to teach the fundamentals of catching, the how, not just say to catch, right? What's your thoughts here on like how Grant, like in your opinion, how can we evolve this passing game to be more effective down the field?
Yeah, I mean, it's and I don't think it has to be hey, we gotta start working on catching behind our backs, and it's basically what Coach Moore said. It's basics. We have to drill the basics before we can go make those tough contested catches, and that starts every day. Like when you go out there Monday after a game, it's hey, and it's somewhat on each individual in that room, that receiver room, but also there needs to be a leader in that room, whether that's McCulley, coming in this season, some thought it was going to be Fred Moore, just a voice of reason to, hey, guys, we're going to spend an extra 30 minutes after practice to catch 200 footballs. Like when Jed Fish was my offensive coordinator, if we left the field and we weren't catching 150, 200 passes like after practice, like you were getting scolded the next day. So, and they might be, I'm not saying they don't, but like just little things like that, like little things each day that you can build and stack on. And then when it comes to practice, really working on beating man coverage. I think that's a lot of the time, maybe if Bryce isn't, letting go of the football and he's looking to run, like you watch that Nebraska game, there was a lot of guys that, whether it's Samaj or, Channing, like they just couldn't get off the man coverage. We saw McCulley get off man coverage, a few times there, and that's why he was able to catch the football, get some yards after catch. But I think it's just going to come down to each day really drilling it. Like I learned this, I forget who I learned it from, but going in, I had my wrist tape on and I would put 3 things I wanted to work on in that practice. So if that's something they need to do, like do it. Like whether it's like, hey, finish each block, tuck after the catch, like eyes to the ball first, then run. Like just little small things to build. Small things to build, working on catch. Obviously, we got to catch, but then working and beating man coverage. Because as we move down the line, these teams are going to start tightening, especially if they don't respect the pass game. These safeties are going to creep down. Corners are going to be one-on-one on the outside, and they're going to say, hey, we're going to stop Justice. Can you win on the outside? And we've seen shades of McCulley, but we need someone else. That ball that went off of Channing Goodwin's hands, I felt for him. I've dropped passes, like no one's perfect, but like those are the passes that in those games we need. And
touchdown.
I really think that Z receiver's up for the grabs.
Yes.
That March.
We were just about to ask, like putting your. We want to give you promotion to coach. Perry. And so who are some of the people that you would like to see more from? Because that's, I think, McCulley has kind of solidified as one option, but love to hear that.
Well, okay. So all right. So to kind of hit on that question, John, my bad. But if you were to put your best wide receivers on the field, what do you think it is for Michigan?
That's a good question. And I have trust in the coaching staff that they they're in the building 16 hours a day. I coached for 2 years after I practiced. Like they watch film for hours. Like they know exactly everyone's skill set. And if somebody in that room was providing a spark or was able to do something better, they're not going to play politics. Like that kid's going to play. As far as who my starting three would be, I kind of tie it back into what I was just going to finish with a point. I think we need to see more. Like, and maybe that's why I don't have a solidified starting three. Cause like, where's Anthony Simpson been? Where, you know, we saw Marsh a little bit early on, some fumbles, and then he kind of disappeared. You know, Browder, a big kind of body, you know, interested to see, you know, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's, you know, it is maybe a new system with Chip Lindsey in the playbook. Maybe that some of those younger guys or even the guys that have been there, like it's a new system. You got to learn new plays. Maybe they haven't quite picked it up and the coaches haven't felt comfortable. But I personally, I believe in those coaches that they're putting the right guys on the field. I would like to see like, hey, some of these guys aren't getting it done. Let's see a little bit more rotation. Let's see if somebody does, hey, have some of that game magic. Maybe they aren't flashing in practice, but they get in a game and they just like, they just don't, like a Ronnie Bell, right? No one knew Ronnie Bell coming in, but he got in the game and he was our guy. So, you know, maybe we'll find a Ronnie Bell with more rotation. I'd like to see a little bit more, you know, because like, you know, McCauley, keep him in the game. He's proved that he's our X. He's going to be that big target. He's going to catch the football. But I think that Z and you know, Samaj just showed that he can catch out of the slot. But Z is really up for grabs, and someone can take it.
So my thought is McCauley, Morgan, Marsh. But I like your Simpson take because I thought when he did get on the field, he had some speed, you know, some speed that might be lacking from not, you know, Samaj does look quicker this year. I'll give him that. Like, I think Samaj is actually improved in that regard.
Yeah.
But, you know, is there more to be desired potentially? Like, obviously, and I agree with you. The sample size is small. We're going to find out more here, especially with the Wisconsin game, which would be a good tune-up. And then we have what looks to be a vulnerable USC team. I think we all watched that game on Saturday and thought, oh, this offense should eat at least. But yeah, all right, but all right. So let me ask you this, Grant. Which player has impressed you the most this season?
It's like the whole team.
No, just like what player? Like if you could name a player that has impressed you the most.
Yeah, but like, are you saying receivers or any position?
Any. Dealer's choice.
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, like a few that come to mind, like we knew they were going to be guys, but like, I mean, Jay Sean off the edge has really like, we knew he was going to be elite, but like what he's been able to do is
he's killing it. Yeah.
And the better he gets off the edge, the more we saw Derek Moore really get active versus Nebraska. Really loved what Rolder and Sullivan did there. You know, as you know, Jay Sean steps on that line, you know, Hausman steps in that middle, and then two of those guys, maybe one of those guys is on the field. They've been playing really well. I mean, Justice Haynes is another one of those guys that we knew he had a lot of clout, a lot of status coming in, but like, I don't know if we've seen a running back pop off this fast and this great this early for Michigan in quite some time. Like we've had great running backs, but like this emergence, this much like certainty, like it's been impressive. But to give you one name, man, I'll go with, and this may be a cop out, but I'll go with Bryce just because his ability, like and I've been a freshman in the game. My first game freshman year was at Utah. Like I was freaking nervous at first, but like once you get on that field, you get a little more comfortable. But also, I didn't have to go under center and take snaps, and he's got to worry about me getting lined up. He's got to worry about everyone on the line. Like so, his ability and his calmness, his swagger, like. He like look at the Oklahoma game. He didn't play an awful game. Like he kept us in that game for the most part. So I'll say Bryce just for his calmness, his veteran-like approach at such a young age.
Yeah, I don't think that's a cop out at all. I think Oklahoma, especially, even though we lost, I think it impressed the heck out of me for his second ever start, 4 months after having his senior prom. Yeah, I think that was really key. Yeah.
Grant, do you think I'm crazy here? So I made a comment. I don't know. It might have been on the post-game show a week ago. I don't know when it was. Within the last week. I think we have 3 superstars on this team. I think those, and tell me if you think there should be somebody added or subtracted, but I think Justice Haynes is a superstar. I think Jay Sean Barham is a superstar. And I think Underwood's a superstar.
Yeah.
Like those are 3 first-round talents, in my opinion, that are just X factors on the field. And I think an emerging player is Cole Sullivan. I think Cole Sullivan's like a playmaker, right? Do you agree with that statement? Would you add somebody, subtract somebody? What's your thoughts on that?
If I'm like looking at it as far as like superstar is first round talent. Like I
Now, what
think,
about this? Just like X Factor superstar. The draft doesn't even matter at the end of the day, right? I mean, like, what are they?
I mean,
in
I
college?
agree with all those three.
Yeah.
Like those are a solid three.
Zavada.
Yep,
Zavada.
Zabata. Yeah, he
Zabata,
is.
yeah.
Yep, he has turned it on, man. He is.
Yeah, for sure.
That guy is back.
I think who I think may have potential. I think one, and I mean Hausman is an unreal tackler. Like nothing really gets by him. Like his ability to tackle is pretty fantastic. But like a name that we got witness to it last week, and Michigan people know, but Jaden Sanders, that cornerback, I think he has the potential. His size, and again, a freshman playing arguably the hardest position at cornerback.
Right.
I think he's got potential there. I think those three, though, I think those would be your three-headed monster if this was an NBA team for sure.
Fair.
Absolutely. So let's flip it now. Who do you think we could see more from? Like, who do you think could be stepping it up, or that you think that there's potential that maybe we just haven't quite seen the spark this season yet?
Yeah, great question. So I think, and it kind of flipped from last year. So I think last year, I think we all knew that our interior pressure on our D line was kind of our bread and butter defensively with Mason and Kenneth. And that's kind of flipped. It's kind of moved outside. And the interior D line played good versus Nebraska. But I think as far as pass rush, if we can really get those interior guys to really start closing this pocket, because the perimeter's set. We got Moore and we got Jay Sean, and I mean, they gave those right and left tackles for Nebraska nightmares all day. So I think if those interior guys, Rayshawn Benny, Trey Pierce, if those guys inside can really start providing a push in the pass game, pass rush, excuse me, and then flip sides, I think, not to beat a dead horse, but receiver wise, man, I think, like we said, we need a Z receiver to step up. I think Klein, he was our guy week one. I think we saw in Nebraska that ankle was still a little. You saw him trying to run slants, and he's kind of falling over himself. So he's still kind of getting his foot back. So I think once he's back, I think he'll really once he's fully back, I think he'll really provide kind of draw that attention in the middle, and I think we'll hopefully see some progression at the Z receiver, whether that's Goodwin, whether that's Marsh, and it doesn't and those guys are great, and you want your Z receiver to have some size versus your slot, but at the same time too, I mean, we just all watched Penn State and Oregon go head to head, and that freshman receiver Moore for Oregon, he's 6 feet, maybe 5'11". Like, it's all about separation. So Anthony Simpson could go play X or Z receiver, but just get a little separation, and that'll make things easier on Bryce. So I'll say interior pass rush, and then the Z receiver we need to see more from for sure.
I mean, would you also say that another big thing is just the blown coverages on the back end? I mean, what do you think is the cause of that? Like last year, it seemed to tighten up towards the end of the year. Do you think it's just the players getting refamiliarized with Wink's system? What do you think this? Because this is one of the questions we were planning on talking about, but I'm just curious your thoughts on what do you think the problem is with this back end of the defense?
I mean, that's a good question. And I mean, each year is a different team. Whether that's last year when we were pressuring the quarterback at a very high rate, and what looked like great coverage may have been more so, pressure sacks, and right. the secondary benefited from. And I think this year too, you start out those first 3 games without your captain, your leader, a guy that's been there 10 years, and Rod Moore, not giving everyone, the signals that everyone's used to. So I think as we see him kind of, slowly work back to 100% and get off that pitch count, I think with him back there making calls, I think we'll be in a better position. I think when, you look at Jaden Sanders, a freshman who has shown potential, who has great size, get him some more reps, you start saying, all right, so he's going to be our guy. So in practice, he's going to be getting the majority of these, these first team reps. So I think it's just, a blend of hey, once we get into Big Ten play, we really got to crack down. And I think Raiola is a fantastic quarterback, man. I mean, I think he is a guy that, even if he gets sacked 7 times, he can still find 300 yards. I know 60 of those came on the Hail Mary, but, he's not an easy quarterback to go against. And so I think as we see the season going on, I think we'll be able to see a little bit more continuity in the back end, if you will, less explosive plays, more keeping it in front of us. And that is one thing I want to see. I want to see more, takeaways from that secondary for sure.
Yeah, agreed. All right. So, what are your impressions of Sharon Moore so far as a head coach? How's he doing, and where do you think he can take the program? Not only this season, but the long term outlook.
Yeah. So and there may be some bias in my answer, but I've had the opportunity to be coached by Sharon, and I coached alongside him after I played, and I got to know him, got to know what kind of guy he is, and you can tell by the way the players respond and just the camaraderie that they're really bought into Sharon, and that's what you want first and foremost. You want a team that's bought into their coach. Whether or not he makes a few decisions that people don't agree with, like, hey, he's going to do what he's going to do in order to try and do what he thinks is best for the team. And we're absolutely in the right if we want to judge him or say, hey, we probably should have took a timeout here. But at the same time, we also got to remember that he is on his second year as a head coach. He is
right.
He took over a spot that I mean, quite frankly, like it's kind of like not dumpster fire, like we just won the national title, but like it was a very kind of murky spot to be in. You knew things were coming down the road that maybe you if you went somewhere else you wouldn't deal with. So I respect him for being able to step in and be the guy that say, hey, you know what, Jim Harbaugh's had these great 8, 9, I forget how many years he coached there, but he led us here. I'm going to carry the ship. And I think as we go week to week, you just hope to see progression in his, his coaching style and situational awareness. Because I do think situational awareness, whether that be stuff that he can't control as far as like penalties on the field or things that he can control, whether that's timeouts or knowing when to, get the guys off the field for a moment. I think just like a player, that always can get better, and he can always work on that. I got faith in him, and partially too because he can recruit his ass off too, man. Like he's getting guys in here like Bryce, like that was the story last year. Savion Hyder this year, like he's a guy that kids can relate to, that kids want to go play for. Like, oh, you play for Oklahoma? Oh, wow, you play with Adrian. Like he's a guy. He's not some old, guy that kids aren't hearing about. So like he can recruit. He's getting the right guys around. I think as just time goes on, we'll see how it goes. But I got faith in him.
Yeah, I think the reality is, Grant, he's learning on the job. He's only, like you said, second year head coach. He's learning. And one thing, like, something, and look, so we are a podcast, Grant. We're very hard on our team just because we know the potential. Like we know what this should be, right? Like, John's an alumni like you.
Yeah.
And
we just missed each other, Grant. I class of 14. So right there.
Okay. Yeah. Right there.
So like, we are hard on the team and stuff. And like, listen, we support Sharon Moore. We have our frustrations at times with like clock management and stuff like that. But you're right. That's the thing too, is at the end of the day, like he's learning on the job. And to your point also on what he inherited. I mean, look, when he was the head coach of Michigan, it was February. It was late. Like he couldn't assemble a coaching staff like the rest of the guys. So last year we do look at it as a building year. This year, look, the schedule is in front of us, and we're actually going to talk about that. But John, I'll let you hit it. What you go for it, John? The next question.
Yeah. So I guess just with everything that we said, and from Sharon Moore on down through the program, like we talked about, assuming that they get it together to some extent, I mean, where do you have Michigan's season at the end of the year?
Great question. So it kind of how I started out I forget what question you asked, but I think when you're talking about the season, how I felt, I think how I felt about where we could finish has kind of been week to week. Like after the first week, I felt like, all right, Bryce is comfortable. Second week, I'm like, all right, we got some work to do. Like, I felt worse after, but then you go watch, the film is always not as great as you think, and it's not always as bad as you think. So I came out of week 2 with like, all right, if we come out strong in week 3, like hopefully Oklahoma's an elite program. We were with a 1-score game, a neutral site, that probably changes. So, it changed week to week. But as I look now, as some of these teams are starting to play each other, and you're starting to kind of see, okay, well, Indiana just beat Illinois by freaking 53, and then USC loses to Illinois. Like, there's no real clear, like Indiana looks solid, Ohio State looks solid, Oregon looks solid, but we also don't play Oregon, we don't play Indiana. So when you look at USC, Washington, Michigan State, Purdue, Northwestern, and Maryland all leading up to the big game, like I think those are all games that we expect them to win, and I think they very well can. I think USC, now while we just saw what they did versus Illinois and they were the 7-point favorite, I think we have to tread carefully here because I think our defense is going to be in for a little bit of a treat with Mekhi Lemon and Jaden Mayaba. I think they're going to have, some success.
Yeah.
So hopefully our offense will be able to match energy. But other than that, man, I think if I'm getting back on my high horse and, I'm inflating my sails, I think we roll into the 29th of November with one loss.
Yeah. Yeah. So all off season, Grant, I've been at 9-3. I've been a 9-3 guy. Just because I felt the youth of Bryce, and I thought those things would come up. As of last week, I've increased my prediction to 10-2. But I have us going into that November game with loss, and I do, and our fan base is frustrated with me. But I do have us, as it stands, losing Ohio State simply because of our back end defense issues, our poor tackling issues. And I feel like if we don't clean up our fundamentals and get tighter on the back end of the defense, that could be a very tough game for us, even though it's at home. Not saying we can't win, because we can. I mean, we know we can. We saw what we did last year with a team that wasn't even as talented as this one. So I'm with you. I'm also on some week-to-week stuff right now. But I mean, looking at the schedule, it looks like it's we control our
very
destiny.
Doable.
And we
USC is maybe the scariest one until Ohio State. But the road teams have won the last two, right? Ohio State won going into Washington. So the Pacific to Eastern time thing, I don't know if it's as much of a factor if you're a good team. You can overcome stuff like that.
Those West Coast teams are just lacking in the trench play. I mean, they just are. They don't. I mean, I know Washington beat us last year, but I think we'd all agree with good quarterback play, we probably would have won that game. So it's interesting. But what's exciting is, even if we are going into that November game with just one loss, I mean, the playoffs are likely. And that's a real goal for me. I mean, I don't know how you are. I mean, so Grant, actually, this is a great time to ask this question. What is the standard at Michigan? What is the standard now every year? What do you think it is? Like, we know what used to be beat Ohio State, win Big Ten championships. Now that we have this evolved college football dynamic, right? What do you think the standard is now?
That's a great question. Things are shifting, things are changing. We've seen the 4-12 college football playoff format. We've seen portal windows open, new portal windows close. We've seen now we're at one window. Things are evolving, things are changing. And with that, obviously comes some of these games might not carry as much weight. That rivalry aspect may not be as heavy, but I think most of these programs that you'll find are still priding themselves on, if you're walking into Michigan, our goals are, we want to win a Big Ten title, first and foremost. We want to be the best in our conference. Secondly, we want to then compete for a national title, because if we're competing for a conference title, we're damn sure competing for a national title. So those are our first two. And then I think after that, because if you're competing for a conference and a national, that kind of assumes that you beat your rivals. And then that's the third point. Right. You got to beat your rivals, whether that's Michigan State, Ohio State, or whatever trophy game you have on your schedule that year. And I hope that's not changed. I hope they aren't lessening the value of some of these important rivalry games, because when I think of Michigan, I think it's you come here to win Big Ten titles, you come here to compete on the national stage, and you come here to beat Ohio State and Michigan State. And I think that's the standard. That's what I know, and that's what I live and breathe.
Yep.
Love
All
that.
Right,
no red or green in this facility. I love that.
I was actually the year after they stopped doing that, so I didn't have to alter my clothes. Which I won't. I don't. I'm not the biggest component. I'm not wearing green or red, but I'll take it.
Fair enough. Grant, we do have, before we let you go, we have a couple of super chat questions, which I think are actually really interesting. I think you're going to like them. Also, thanks to Tom for gifting a membership. Really appreciate that. I love this question. Michigander, Grant, what was your favorite thing about playing for Jim Harbaugh? And what's one piece of advice you'd give for recruits coming into Michigan?
Great question there, Michigander. So I think my favorite thing about Harbaugh was, no matter the moment or no matter the size of the opponent, like, he always instilled, like, hey, they put on their pants just like we do. Like, they're eating breakfast at the same time we do. Like, anytime we take that field, we have an opportunity to go out there and win. And he had that sense of, like, confidence. Like, it was, and I don't know if I've seen any or been around anyone like Jim Harbaugh, to where, like, his brain and the way he works. And I've been in team meeting rooms with him as a player, and I've been in tight coaching meetings with him as a coach, assistant coach. And I've seen him in all different phases, and it's football, go to bed, football. Like there's no time for anything else, and that instills a confidence in you. It builds a culture, and I think we're seeing that with the Chargers. Like they just lose to the Giants, but they're looking like the Michigan of the past. Like they have that confidence, they have that swagger, and that's just what he brings. And you don't necessarily maybe see that on a stat sheet, but like you just know when you're getting Jim Harbaugh, you're getting a guy that's going to put his best guys out there, instill confidence, and really just try to motivate his team. And then one piece of advice I would give incoming recruits. And man, times have changed. I'm a little bit older now, so like the wavelength and how things are done have changed. Values have changed. I wanted nice uniforms. I wanted a cool stadium, and I wanted like a nice campus. Like now it's what kind of Ferrari can I get? So
with the NIL,
I guess my advice, and this is what worked for me. This is how I was able to get on the field so early. More so when you get onto your campus, wherever you're going as a recruit, is just before you even worry about out athleticing these kids, but being faster or stronger, like learn the playbook, become a coach on the field. Because if you know what to do, if you can help other guys get lined up and you aren't making mistakes, like it's really, really hard for those coaches to pull you off. Then you add on that weight, then you add on that speed, and then you show you can beat man coverage. Like coaches, they literally won't pull you off because like they're like, man, he's going to be in the right place. We're going to give him special assignments and the run game. Like he'll know who to block. It's just little things like that. So I found that really becoming a book nerd, a bookworm in that playbook really benefited me.
Yeah, that's really so lesson to everybody who's coming in. I know we have some recruits and their families watching. Learn the playbook early and get on that field. Love that. So Texas Wolverine is asking, what do you think about the combo of McCauley, Marsh, and Kendrick Bell?
Yeah, and that's another name. I didn't bring up Bell earlier. And we've seen flashes. He's had a couple good catches here this year. Another guy that provides some good size. And we know he comes from an athletic family, Ronin and company. I would like to see that Marsh, Bell, McCauley rotation. I think you miss a little bit of that shiftiness with Samaj in there. There's a few of those catches he had on the sideline of Nebraska that I don't know if any of those other guys are maybe breaking tackles and able to slip out, across by a guy that late in the game. So I think Samaj in that slot, man, I really like him in that slot. He's kind of shown me that he can be a guy that can break tackles. But Marsh and Bell, come on, there's a Z spot open. Go take it, man. If you show that you're a guy, you go make 50 catches, make it 80-20, make it 70-20. Like, you know the plays, know what to do. Like, they're not going to take you off the field.
Yep.
Sharon Moore was talking about how the roster and the depth chart is a living, breathing document, and it always changes. So
It does.
That's really exciting, especially for that Z position. Another blast from the past question for you. Who was your favorite quarterback to catch a pass from? Rudock, Spate, or Patterson?
That's a good question. That's a great question. Well, I guess I got to start with another thing I learned from Harbaugh, and that's the if you compare one, you're putting others down. So I'll give a note on each of them. Rudock, like we called him father. He was our dad. Like he just was like you coach on the field, but like almost like you wouldn't say like you went out the night prior, or you were like, because he just had so much maturity. Like you knew what, like you would go to him before you went to a coach and he's like, yeah, just go run a slant, we'll get you lined up, don't worry about it. So I had a lot of faith in Rudock. He was a real good leader. Like he really helped me understand the playbook at an early age. Spate, I love Spate, man. He was a guy I spent most of my time with. We really had a great bond. Wilton was a guy that could really connect with his receiver room. And we had some fun plays. That was, we had Fish calling plays during that time frame too. So like, I would say with Spate, like just the creativity that we had with Wilton and Jed at that time, like that was really fun. And then for Shea, like when he came in, man, it was like, like a celebrity was walking in. Coach Harbaugh was like, hey, like this is our guy, guys. Like let's welcome him into the team. And I became really, really, really good friends with Shea, over the course of our time together, and still really good friends with him. And I think with Shea, he also brought that sense of like, hey, like don't stress, like we got this, like let's go out there and do what we do. And he never really you never looked in his eyes and got worried. Like he always was like eyes on the prize, and like you knew Shea off the field, but then when he got on the field, like it was like you couldn't even talk to him because they would just go right over his head. He's thinking about the next play. So those are my notes on all those guys. Like anyone that can throw you a football as a receiver, like you're happy with. So like I'll note all of them as great quarterbacks and also great guys.
Absolutely.
Fair. And I think you did great there at channeling Jim Harbaugh. So
yeah, that's
well
he taught us early. He's like, hey, when the media comes to you, they're gonna say A or B, and you say both.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right.
Both.
Yeah.
And maybe there's been some of that still is the case now. Maybe that's been the case a little bit. So Grant, obviously we're thrilled that you came on. And you're welcome back anytime. Where can people, just in case people missed the beginning, where could people find you? Learn more, let everybody know.
Yeah. So if you look there, that's my Twitter right there at the Grant Perry. I post some breakdown clips on there and whatnot. I also do 2 podcasts with Believe Sports Network. That's their page. And we do the Believe in Michigan podcast, which is very similar to what you guys do here. And then we also do Believe in the Big Ten, where we just talk about the games of the week prior and then look at the Big Ten matchups and just talk football, man. So find me at Believe Sports Network. Find me at the Grant Perry on Twitter or X now. And yeah, man, just shoot me a comment on something and let's get the conversation rolling.
Oh yeah, Grant. Thanks for coming on, man. It was a pleasure, and looking forward to the next time, brother.
Yeah, thank you, TJ. Thank you, John. I appreciate you guys.
All right, go blue.
Go
man.
blue.
Go blue, baby. Let's get a dub this weekend. Let's do it.
Let's get it.
Come on.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah. All right. I like Grant.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
That
definitely
was
get
fun.
him more. He's cool. You know what's fun about him is like he's got the one, he's still close to it. Like he just previously coached not that long ago. He still has relationships with Sharon Moore. He's still like, he knows it better than most, right? He knows a perspective of that team that even those who give their analysis on the team, whether it be Joe Klatt, whatever, they don't have that. So it's interesting to get his perspective.
Yeah, because people will say, "Hey, why are you calling for Ron Bellamy to get fired?" And why are you criticizing the wide receiver room? Yeah. Well, maybe instead let's bring on somebody who can really give their take on like what needs improvement and things from actually doing it every day. So
what I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
I lost
what was
pen.
that?
But he kept talking about the separation. He was essentially saying like the man-to-man coverage. He felt like the separation wasn't good enough, which is not something I've fully picked up on. I'm going to pay more attention to it next game. But yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah,
because he's right. I mean, we don't have maybe Marlon Klein, and that's kind of where we are with it. I mean,
I think McCauley's done a pretty good job of getting separation. But as far as it's kind of a blur everywhere else.
I know.
So let's see. I want friend of the program, Andrew Marsh, or Browder.
Yeah.
The more I've sat with it, I'm kind of wondering if it is like what Grant just said about the playbook. And, I'm sure that Chip Lindsey's playbook isn't the most simple thing to grasp coming into Ann Arbor right away.
Right. Well, and what also is interesting is that Sharon Moore highlighted the 2 guys we've talked about a lot this offseason, Jamar Browder, Andrew Marsh. That's not a coincidence. Like, it's not, he would have said Fred Moore if it was Fred Moore. He's not, so I think what we all speculated this offseason about potentially earning playing time as the season progresses, it's possible people get their wish with, us seeing Browder and Moore on the field, or not Moore, Browder and Marsh on the field more.
Absolutely. So let's hit these 2 super chats real quick, and then we have a quick note from Winn, and then we have our special guest to preview Wisconsin. Jump around. All right. So we got Michigander Justice Haynes getting no respect from the Heisman voters is absolutely criminal. I'm with you. I think Haynes is currently the #1 rusher in the entire Big Ten, and number 3 in America. So yeah, I agree with you. I think at least maybe a couple of votes for one of the slots.
Well, I think Michigan is not fully getting respect yet either. Look at the AP voting. We're floating around 20, even though we've looked well, even though, I know the Oklahoma game, we had our issues, but it's one of those things where Michigan just has to keep winning and they'll move up and then Haynes will get his respect.
Potential portal gets. We'll hit on portal in a little bit, but he does throw some names out here. Michigander from Eugene Wilson, Cam Coleman, all of these. Wingo, Omega Blake.
Yeah, I mean, thoughts are it's early. There's not any names at the moment, but I fully anticipate Michigan is going to be active and aggressive. Like I feel very confident in saying that. They know. Like it's not only does the coaching staff know, the donors know. They, everyone knows. I know. Our guest coming, Rohan knows. Everyone knows.
Yes.
So, Michigan's going to work on that wide receiver room.
Absolutely, everybody knows it. So before we bring on Rohan, we do have a special note from the Winn Agency. So we will pop that up here, and we'll be right back.
We are fired up for another great season of Michigan football. The energy is electric, and with the new talent we have this year, I believe we have a real shot at stacking up some wins and making it back to the playoffs. At Winn Agency, we want to help you win as well. We can help you find the right health insurance for you, your family, or your business. We also offer life insurance to protect the people you love, as well as smart investment strategies to help you build a strong financial future. Whatever your goals are, we have you covered. Let's cheer on our boys in the maize and blue and make this season one of the best to remember. Go Blue!
Hey,
Go Blue, Winn Agency, folks.
I played that video on Thursday, and for some reason they couldn't hear. We'll have to talk about that. The sound wouldn't play for me. I don't know. We'll talk about that after the show.
Okay. Yeah, we'll troubleshoot. All right. With that said, to help us dive into the Wisconsin preview, obviously back to noon and all of that good stuff, Wisconsin coming to town. We've got Rohan from Bucky's Fifth Quarter joining us. Rohan, thanks so much for joining Michigan Live on our mega show here.
Hey, thank you guys for having me. Definitely excited to be here and break this matchup down.
Absolutely, Rohan. Looking forward to it. Very excited to be coming out of the bye week and playing another Big Ten opponent. What is, from the Wisconsin perspective, what is your thoughts and feels going into this game this week in terms of, the fan base? What is the fan base's perspective here?
To be honest, it's a lot of unhappiness right now with the fan base. In fact, just 2 weeks ago, before Wisconsin's bye week, when they had their Big Ten opener at home against Maryland, there were chants to fire head coach Luke Fickell before even halftime hit when Wisconsin was losing to Maryland in a disappointing game. They ultimately got blown out there. They lose 27-10. Really a lack of identity, a lot of tough questions to Luke Fickell after that game. And now Wisconsin's going to have to regroup somehow and face a top 20 team in the country here on the road in the Big House for the first time in a couple of years, with some of the uncertainty still from that game still looming when it comes to injuries, when it comes to, different questions offensively and defensively. There's a lot of questions right now regarding the Wisconsin fan base.
Yeah, and I will say the lines here provided by FanDuel. Of course, we have our link that everyone can check out. Put $5 in, get 300 bonus bets, bet responsibly. The FanDuel line does say Michigan favored by 16.5. And what's interesting is over under 42.5. So they're thinking that there's going to be some scoring going on. Where do you stand just as overall coming into Ann Arbor? I mean, do you see this as an opportunity to really shock the world and put up a good fight and potentially take home the dub?
I know Badgers, they're players. We spoke with them today. They definitely feel that way. But right now, it just feels like the entire country is against them. When you look at a line like this with the over-under of 42.5, seems like the line or the betting odds expect Michigan to score, but Wisconsin's over-under is probably around 13 to 14 points right there. And that kind of outlines the problem they currently have. It's unclear how Wisconsin's going to be able to score right now, and that's because the number one thing they want to do is run the football, and they just haven't been able to all season. They're experimenting along the offensive line. They've had some key injuries there. Their left tackle, Kevin Haywood, he went out during the spring. They haven't really found a great replacement yet, having to move right tackle Riley Mallman over to the left side. And then at center, arguably one of the most important positions on this offensive line, senior and really captain Jake Renfro has been in and out of the line, with some ankle and some knee injuries. He's going to be banged up this week if he goes, and if he doesn't, Wisconsin's going to have to play 3 redshirt freshmen up front and along the offensive line against a really tough matchup. It's just a really hard place for the Badgers to come into an environment like this with the amount of youth that they're playing up front and the inexperience that they're playing up front. And that's not even mentioning quarterback Billy Edwards. He's uncertain as well this week. Excuse me.
Oh,
Now,
really?
now let me ask you a question, high level, about the Wisconsin offense. One thing that absolutely fascinated me was when Fickle came in and he said, "I'm going to hire Phil Longo and I'm going to go air raid." And I thought, the Big Ten can be a really tough place to implement an air raid. And I'm noticing now maybe a bit of a shift away from that. Do you see that as well? Do you see that their new OC has kind of maybe tried to reestablish a little bit of that physical Wisconsin identity with running the ball?
I think you hit it on the head there. Wisconsin tried the air raid, but you're right. In the Big Ten, it's really hard to implement, not only because of the weather, but also you face elite level defenses, and Wisconsin just naturally has not been able to recruit the quarterback or receiver talent to implement that system effectively. They're trying to go back to their roots now, trying to create that, ground and pound run heavy style. But as I mentioned a little earlier, it's tough for the Badgers right now because they just frankly don't have the push up front with the offensive line, starting 3 redshirt freshmen. They've got strong running back talent. They actually have a room consisting of 3 sophomore/redshirt freshmen and then a redshirt junior in Cade Iacomelli. Those young guys are really leading the pack, and those are guys Wisconsin is excited about for the future. But right now, rush lanes just aren't there for the Badgers, and that's creating a lot of inconsistencies with the offense because the passing attack can't really complement very well right now.
Yeah. So you mentioned that, what was it? You said Billy Edwards is not going to be available, but Danny O'Neill's been the quarterback for the season, correct? Was there any type of potential quarterback controversy? Is that why you feel that his loss may have an impact?
No, there hasn't been a quarterback controversy yet, actually. This was one of the first years for Wisconsin that they haven't done that. Last offseason, when Wisconsin had 2 quarterbacks, Tyler Van Dyke, a transfer from Miami at the time, and then Braden Locke, a young guy in the room, they went through a quarterback battle before Van Dyke won the job, heading into week 1. This year, Luke Fickell elected to do something different, anointed Billy Edwards as the starter upon coming to Wisconsin. Danny O'Neill was informed that he would be the backup this year before transferring to the program. Unfortunately, Edwards goes down with a weird non-contact knee sprain in week 1. He ended up missing time. O'Neill has been the guy pretty much since then. Edwards tried to come back, but came back too early to try and face his his former team in Maryland in week 4. He ends up getting hurt after 1 drive, doesn't look like himself, and O'Neill is in there. There hasn't been a quarterback controversy, and quite honestly, the play on the field has kind of dictated why O'Neill has looked a little outmatched when on the field so far this season.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, all right. So what is your thoughts here on Michigan's offense versus Wisconsin's defense? Wisconsin having at least a very good year statistically in the run game. It's done very well. I think it's holding opponents around 55 yards a game, something around there, right? What's your thoughts there, especially facing an offensive running game like Michigan's this coming week?
50 yards per game. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I honestly think this is going to be the most fun battle if you're trying to find a way of competitiveness in this one, because Wisconsin's defense has been elite at stopping the run, and that was something that the coaching staff said this is the number one thing we need to address last year. Wisconsin was uncharacteristically bad against the run last year, which hasn't been a program norm. They go out and they get quite a few 300-pound defensive linemen in the transfer portal, and now they've been able to plug up the holes. They've got edges in Mason Reiger, a transfer from Louisville who's probably been Wisconsin's best player defensively so far. and as well as Sebastian Cheeks, a redshirt sophomore. Those two guys man the edges, have been able to set well. But then you've got those 300-pound linemen who are there in the middle, really there to stop the run. This is going to be a nice battle because Wisconsin, while they have been really good, have also not faced a rush offense close to the caliber of Michigan so far. I mean, I'm sure all of you guys know, I'm sure the fans know how good Justice Haynes has been. But it's not only him. Jordan Marshall has been really good, even stemming back from his season last year, especially in that bowl game. You know that there's a lot of different elements to this Michigan run game. And I think Wisconsin will look to be aggressive, but if Michigan can open up the pass game as well, I think that they're going to have good opportunities in the run to make things difficult for the Badgers there as well.
Okay. So let's get your prediction here. Who do you think wins the battle? Wisconsin's run defense or Michigan's run offense? Your honest perspective.
I honestly think this is a little tough for Wisconsin, especially given how this Michigan offense is constructed. I do expect Michigan to be able to run the ball at least at a 4.5 yards per clip caliber, if not better, given how they've played so far.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting to get that perspective. Okay, because I mean, it's the area, like looking at the numbers. I mean, it's the area that definitely sticks out as the potential, strong arm match between the two teams. So I'm interested to see how that one plays out. And it also, I don't know if you know this, Rohan, offensive line wise, we lack a bit of cohesion. We've also been dealing with injuries with Giovanni El-Hadi being out. So I'm real interested to see how that dynamic plays out.
Brady Norton's been out.
Yeah.
Although it seems like that might have been actually addition by subtraction in a way, because then Garnera comes in and crushes it.
Yeah.
I'd say the one thing that maybe is a little bit of hope for you guys. We really haven't seen the passing game really light it up, aside from maybe against Central Michigan University. So the run is something that Michigan's been leaning on, but I would love to just kind of understand. And I asked this of everybody. I asked this to New Mexico. I asked this to literally everybody about the keys for a Wisconsin victory. Like, what needs to happen? What are a couple of things that you think need to happen for Wisconsin to pull off the upset here?
Yeah, I think the number one thing is honestly what we just talked about, which is being able to stop the run. I think it's going to be an emphasis as it's been all season because, like you mentioned, Bryce Underwood has been solid, but definitely the flash is there, but he's completed around 57% of his passes. I think that there is a path at least to keeping this game competitive if you force Michigan into 2nd and 7, 2nd and 8s, rather than 2nd and 5s and 2nd and 4s, where you have, or 2nd and 3rd and 4s, where you have, sustainable drives on shorter distances on 2nd and 3rd downs. I think in addition to that, Wisconsin is going to have to figure out something in the run game. Michigan's defensive line and edge group is one of the best, if not, a top 3 unit in the country, I would say. They've been really good so far, just as they've been in general. And I think that that's going to be something Wisconsin will have to figure out. If not even run efficiently, do not have the negative plays that they've had so far. They've had too many 2nd and 9s and 2nd and 11s and 12s from the run game that they have really hurt their offense, because it allows pass rushers to tee off on 2nd and 3rd downs against a pass offense that really hasn't shown enough yet. If it's Danny O'Neal starting, O'Neal, the way to get him going, get a couple of those quick throws, get the ball out of his hands quickly, and hope for the receivers who have a good amount of speed with them to be able to make plays. If it's Billy Edwards, Edwards knows how to, execute that offense in the short amount of time that we've seen him. We've seen a couple of drives where Wisconsin's been successful. Even in the Maryland game where he had a drive, his first drive, his lone drive got Wisconsin into the red zone or near there, where they had a field goal that was blocked. And so you have a lot of opportunities in the offense, depending on who the quarterback is, but you're going to need to be able to run the ball to even have that chance. Wisconsin's got to be somewhat efficient there. It all comes down to the trenches, as it really does in a lot of games. Michigan has the clear advantage on paper, but Wisconsin has to take into account some of those injuries potentially and maybe create a little bit of momentum on their side in order to keep this one close.
All right, TJ.
Well, did you give a score prediction?
Well, we'll do keys, and then we can do score.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so keys of the game. Well, so from Michigan, it's a turnover game. I mean, I think, it's going to be a key, when you're playing a team like Wisconsin, who could potentially sneak up on you. As long as we manage the turnover game, we should have the advantage. That's clear. My second key to the game is, and this is more or less just something I'm trying to see improve with Michigan, is I want the back end of this defense. This is their opportunity to look like they've taken a step up. So I would like to completely shut down your offense in the passing game. I know it's not the most dynamic offense in the passing game, but at the same time, against every opponent this year, we have seen gaps in the back end of this defense. So a key to me is completely shutting down your offensive passing attack. And then the third key to the game for me is simply protecting Bryce. I think I'm going to say this every single game. If we protect Bryce, if we keep Bryce upright, we should have the opportunity to win every game. Now, this is a game we should win, in my opinion. But I think quite clearly, as long as Bryce is not put in a position like he was against Oklahoma, granted, this is Wisconsin, then we should be in a position to win this game, John.
Absolutely. And so I try to give a key for both teams, and it's trench play. Who can win in the trenches? That's a big one. For Wisconsin to pull this off, I think they're going to have to stop Michigan's run as much as possible, and then kind of limit the pass, maybe even pick Bryce off a couple of times, a couple of interceptions in there. And then Michigan needs to step it up in the pass game, right? Because I don't know if we can just ride Justice Haynes the whole game here. Like, I think we're going to need to find an answer. I want to see Andrew Marsh on the field, or whoever it is that is having the best hands in practice, because that's been a big problem. Is who has the best hands, who can actually catch the ball, who can run the best routes, who can get the separation, other than McCauley. So I'd love to see Andrew Marsh, Kendrick Bell, or whoever they've identified as the people. And I think that could really help Michigan pull out the dub here. So
Yeah.
So with that said, score prediction, Rohan, what do you think's happening in this one?
Unfortunately for my Badgers fans, I don't think things are looking too hot. I have Michigan to win 34-10. I do think that they're going to force turnovers. I don't think Wisconsin's going to have much offense in this one, because they just haven't shown the ability to run the ball and go up against a really tough front here. And I think defensively, while they've been good at stopping the run, I think Michigan provides a problem. And I think that Michigan's going to be able to protect Bryce Underwood well enough. I think there will be some plays to where they're going to control the game from the jump. I don't know that Michigan gets to 40 just because of the pace of the game. I think both teams like to run the ball, and it's a Big Ten style game. But I think Michigan wins pretty comfortably, 34-10.
Interesting. We're very close. I'm 34-13. So we're on the same wavelength there. That's interesting. You have 34. Yeah, I think Michigan does its job here. I think Michigan is able to, limit Wisconsin's ability to get down the field and score. I do think they'll get potentially 2 field goals. They may get a touchdown at some point in this game. That's kind of where I'm at. I think, and also I'll be honest, I think Michigan's going to come out hungry and aggressive, because it's their first game. We didn't even talk about this with Sharon back. And
yes,
not only that, we know that they were working very hard on the issues with this team. I do feel, and I'm going to tell you right now, I have a feeling we will see Andrew Marsh in this game. I don't think it's a coincidence he mentioned him and how well he performed in practice. I think we will. And I just think the boys are going to come ready to play. And they know, I don't think they're looking ahead to what USC. I really don't. I think they are focused on this one. And I think it being home as well, I just think Michigan's going to come to play.
Yeah. I think we're all kind of hovering around the same scores. I have what Ryan has, 40-10. I think they're going to find, with Andrew Marsh hopefully being on the field some more, maybe even Browder makes some appearances, Simpson in the receiver game. Marlon Klein obviously is getting healthier and healthier as a great passing tight end for Michigan. And that defense, I think they're going to, with Rod Moore kind of slowly being eased back in. Rod Moore, I think we haven't even said his name enough. I think we need to be saying his name more. Like, he was known in 2023 as the quarterback of the defense. He makes sure everyone's in the right alignment, make sure everybody's good. He's got a ton of experience. Rod Moore having more play can only be good for Michigan's defense. Zeke
Mhm.
Berry eventually coming back. But at the end of the day, like, the lines are coming together. It's really, how can we get the secondary up a notch? But I think in this one, 40-10, and Michigan takes the dub. But one thing I respect about, I think, every single guest, including yourself, Rohan, is like, you've been very reasonable with your predictions, and we appreciate the reasonable take and giving us the shot there.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, I was
I
gonna say, thank
thank
you, Rohan.
both of y'all for sure. Just thank you both for having me on, and definitely a fun talk to talk about Michigan, Wisconsin, see the both sides at this moment, and excited for this game on Saturday.
Yeah, Rohan. Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate it, and hopefully, are you going to be visiting Michigan for the game at all, or are you going to be watching?
I will be at the game. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Well, enjoy Ann Arbor. Hey, make sure you check out the Little Brown Jug, man. Have you ever been there?
No, first time in Ann Arbor actually.
Go.
Yeah.
All right, Little Brown Jug. Go. Enjoy.
That's it. Yeah.
But, yeah,
Brown
man. Have a good time
Jug.
this weekend.
Yeah, enjoy it. Yeah, let us know if you want some other recommendations. So let the community know, if they want to find more of your work and follow you on the internet, where can they go?
Yeah, definitely. As you can see on the screen, if you want my Twitter, it's at Rohan Chakrav. We have a lot of work over at Bucky's Fifth Quarter, buckysfifthquarter.com, or B5Q on the X as well, where we're posting pretty much everything about this game from the Wisconsin aspect. So if you guys want more content on Wisconsin, trying to figure things out there, just see how the Badgers are, quarterback updates, injury updates, all of that, be sure to check out the site. But should be a fun game. We'll see how it goes, but yeah, it feels like we're pretty aligned right now on our predictions.
All right, Rohan. Well, have safe travels, my friend.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Have a good one.
Thanks, Rohan.
All right, John.
Wow.
Hey,
so yeah,
back-to-back guests, man.
Yeah, it's one of those double headers with two excellent guests in a row giving their takes from different perspectives, way different perspectives, right? So that's what we like to see. But obviously, it's very exciting to kind of see Michigan with Sharon Moore back and all of that stuff. I love that we touched on Sharon Moore coming back and that impact that it's going to have for his first game back in the Big House after the 2-game suspension.
I think it will. I really do. I think the boys are going to come to play, man.
Yeah, they're gonna be fighting. Just a reminder, as always, check out the YouTube memberships. They started just $2.99. We just had a Connor Stallions Espionage member to start the show. You got to see your name in the ticker and all of that good stuff. So check that out. So we got some news today, TJ, on the recruiting front that there's been a Fong bomb put in for 2027 4-star safety Charles Woodson Jr. That's right, folks. The son of the legendary Charles Woodson, crystal balled to Michigan.
Yeah. It's one of those things where a lot of people feel it almost seems like the obvious situation for him to come to Michigan. But I mean, listen, we're not talking. The thing I want to stress too, for those who are unfamiliar with Charles Woodson Jr., yes, that's his dad, but he is an excellent player. I mean, John, I don't know if we have the huddle tape queued up. We didn't really talk about it. We were getting ready for our guests, but he's an excellent player, man. So now what's funny, John, is we are starting to see the 2027 class begin to take shape, right? We know we already have Peter Bork in the class, major. We know that Charles Woodson Jr., who is a very good player, very, very good player, is trending to Michigan. And the fact that Will Fong already put in a prediction, feeling confident about it, very exciting. So excited about that. I'm sure he'll be visiting soon. I don't know if he has anything scheduled yet, but looking forward to that. I mean, that's especially with the way Michigan, I'm telling you right now, and we're going to get into it too. We got some DB targets we'll talk about with 2026, but the way this DB room, we talk about Grant Perry, Jaden Sanders. We know about Shamari Earls, a lot of hype around him as well. I feel this room is going to be stacked in the next 2 to 3 years, John. I feel like because Michigan's really pushing to land another. I know we lost out on Dorian Barney. Dorian Barney did decommit from Michigan, but at the end of the day, John, I think we're going to be in a great spot. Adding talents like this, Charles Woodson Jr., big time player, guys. Not afraid to hit either. His stature, you may think, wow, he's not the biggest guy. Doesn't matter. Pitbull. Nope. You'll find out. Yeah, he'll lay you out.
Still got that Michigan man mentality. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree on Charles Woodson Jr.
Yeah, his dad didn't raise no bitch, bro. I'll tell you that right now. You watch his game, very physical player. Big fan, dude. I mean, you can already see, look, he's playing on the back end of this defense. Look at his read and react. Look at him just come down and hit him.
Yep.
Oh, I'm telling you, this is a good kid. This is not nepotism by any means. This is not just a name. This is a kid who will play on Saturdays and should be a good player. And I'm excited. I mean, look, he looks natural, bro. Very excited about him. You know what, John? We'll hit on another 2027, then we'll get into 2026. Yeah. But, well, big news. Dakota Garant, which we have talked about. The player who is planning to visit November 1st for the Purdue game, planning to visit November 29th for the Ohio State game. Dakota Garant is ranked in the 40s in the nation overall. I think he's the 8th ranked wide receiver, something along those lines. Out of Harper Woods, Michigan. Well, guess what, John?
What's up?
He was supposed to see Bill Belichick this weekend, but plans changed, John. He's coming to Ann Arbor.
Coming to see Wisconsin, Ann Arbor, huh?
Yeah, he said, you know what? I really don't want to meet your girlfriend, Bill, and decided he's coming home.
Sorry, Jordan.
So, 3 visits are scheduled right now for Dakota Garant. We talked about this for a while. I feel extremely, extremely confident we're going to see him in the class. Great relationship with Bryce Underwood. This is only going to strengthen, I think, Michigan's position here. And I feel, I don't know this, by the way, but just the way this recruitment is kind of feeling, this could be one of the more earlier than later commitments. And I don't mean like after this visit. I mean, for a 2027, we could potentially see him, I would say, commit early in 2026, the year of 2026. So excited, man. Dakota Garant's big time. Like that is the type of talent you add to the room if you want to increase the talent deficit in the room. And he is that. And he very well could play early. So I'm excited about that. Now we can give an update on our 2026 guys. Nick Abrams, we've been talking about it. Nick Abrams, who we talked about last week, that Michigan was becoming aggressive in pursuing their number 1 target, John. Well, guess what, John? He's also visiting this weekend.
He's visiting too.
The buzz is real, bro. The buzz is real. I mean, listen, he is committed to Georgia, but let's just call it like it is, boys. Whoever shows the most love and gives the best opportunity, if you will, I think is going to get Nick Abrams. And I think Michigan can put themselves in a position to land Nick Abrams. I think it's big time. Nick Abrams is my favorite linebacker target. My second favorite linebacker target right now out of the linebacker targets we are after. DQ Forkba. We all thought, not all, but many of us thought it was done. It was over. We thought potentially, he wasn't going to be visiting Michigan, Well, word is, he is still in contact and planning to visit Michigan, and the contact is real and it's still in a good place. So, and we'll give a shout out to EJ Hound on that. He's the one who's kind of been the vocal one there versus a lot of other people who said there's nothing to see. There's others, no names, who have said there's, it's not much to see there. It appears that DQ Forkba is in fact still in play for Michigan. We are definitely looking. Yeah, our boy Dairy Queen, if you know, you know. And then let's talk about the other. So it does appear, John, here's what it appears, right? It appears Michigan's looking to land another linebacker. It appears Michigan's looking to land an elite corner. Now let's talk about these corners. We talked about it last week, John. Well, we know about Kari Adams, committed to Notre Dame. We know about Devon Benjamin, Oregon. We know about Havon Finney of LSU. But let's talk about another corner. I have 2 for you. Havon Finney, or I'm sorry, I'm wrong. Danny Odom from Nebraska. Michigan has recently, actually, once Dorian Barney decommitted from Michigan and went to, I believe, Ole Miss. Danny Odom of Nebraska, another highly ranked kid around the 150 range. Michigan is currently in contact with and currently pursuing, and it doesn't hurt that we just beat Nebraska, right? So he saw us play very recently. The other corner that we need to discuss, John, is actually a kid I'm actually pretty high on, and that's Jamarion Vincent, who is currently committed to Baylor. Michigan and Lamar Morgan specifically is currently pursuing this one. And guys, I'm going to tell you right now, between Adams, Benjamin, Finney, Odom, Vincent, all of these kids are like 150 or higher in the rankings. Devon Benjamin being my personal favorite. Michigan appears to be on attack mode. There will be a corner. There will be a corner, a high-end corner added to this class. It will happen. Who is it going to be?
I hope so, because this is the time to put the foot on the gas after losing Dorian Barney to Ole Miss, and to be fair, he has flipped his school quite a bit, and you think the writing was kind of on the wall with that one, and that's why they've been going so hard at some of these others.
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's an interesting thought. I don't know. I mean, that's something maybe, a Sam Webb might know. I'm not sure. But I will say Michigan, but to your point, John, Michigan it's been the position that's outside of linebacker that's been the consistent here. It's interesting to see. The other interesting note that I want to give you guys an update on is Julian Walker. We all know one of the major edges we have in the class, currently committed, father of strength and conditioning coach at South Carolina. Well, he was planned to visit this weekend, but no more. But, John, he is planned to visit for the Ohio State game, which I don't think is a loss. I think that's actually a positive. Because if he can't, I'm going to tell you why. He really does love Michigan. Like his family really is impressed with Michigan. I believe this is actually a good thing. I believe if Julian Walker comes to the Ohio State game and Michigan wins that game, there ain't no way he's not coming to Michigan, because the environment's going to be insane. The game has got to be obviously a well-played game. Even if it's like last year, it's still hard-fought, physical, even though I don't think it'll be like last year, by the way. I think it'll be more than just 10-13. But I think this is okay. I think it's just something we need to monitor. We obviously, and I'll stress this again, we don't want to lose Julian Walker. Like, this would be that would hurt. Dorian Barney, we'll be all right. Like, there's options. We got tons of talent. They're pursuing very high-end players. We'll be okay. But
with Walker, I will say this. Who's South Carolina's biggest rival? Clemson? Yeah, that's nowhere near the intensity that he's going to experience being part of, in my opinion, the greatest rivalry in sports, regardless of winner or loser. And by the way, I think we're gonna beat those Buckeyes for the 5th year in a row. But at the end of the day, like, he's gonna see passion and an intense dedication at the highest level on both sides of the ball.
Yes, and I expect Michigan to be playing very well at that point of the season. So I mean, I'm excited, man. I think we're okay. We're just got to monitor that situation. We know it's a tough one. I mean, his dad literally goes to work every day for South Carolina. Like, there's going to be some influence. But we'll see where it goes, man. But yeah, I'm excited about it. I do anticipate as we enter October, there's going to be a lot more buzz, because here's why. The reason why there's a lack of buzz with a lot of programs with recruiting, one, a lot of the classes are full, but two, there just isn't a point to be public about what is going on or what moves are going to be made. It's going to heat up here because teams are going to start making their pitches to close, and you don't want to outbid yourself, even though it's going to happen to an extent. But the longer you can wait before other teams catch on to the fact that you're recruiting their players, the better for you, because then your offer doesn't need to be, re-offered 3, 4, 5, 6 times, right? You can, the reality is teams are very well aware of when the closing bell is, but we're also getting to the point where the season is coming to an end. There's a lack of visits. It's going to be interesting, but I do anticipate from October forward, this is going to heat up. Flip season's upon us, and this goes both ways. We just lost Dorian Barney, so we're well aware of this. But I think I feel strongly that I feel very strong that Michigan's going to end the class very strong. I do think it'll be a top 10 class. Do not think we're going top 5 unless something crazy happens, but we'll see. To be determined.
Well, speaking of something crazy happening, Michigander's asking, if
Yeah.
there's a possibility for a 5-star wide receiver flip.
I am going, you know what I think, honestly? I've been thinking about this. This is one of those things that, like, when I got nothing else to do, I think about Michigan. And one of my thoughts is, here's my thought. I don't know what I'm about to say, but I think this could be the play. I think they're going to really focus on this 27 wide receiver class. That's going to be where they're going to get the recruits. But I think they're going to actually target the wide receiver answer in the portal, because that's an immediate impact, right? A kid out of high school, very likely going to need a transition period into the college game. I think they want a kid, because the 27 class is loaded. We know this. It's a stacked. Midwest wide receivers are loaded. It's like one of the most loaded wide receiver classes in quite some time. I think that's where they're going to build their depth in the room. But I think in terms of top end solutions, top end, it's going to be portal acquisitions. And I think we might see 2. We'll see, though. I am assuming very much, but if I was looking at this, I feel like I try to put myself in their position. How would I approach it? I think that is the play. I think that's the play, but we'll find out.
Thanks, Michigander. And yeah, that would be amazing. But I think you're right. I think either portal or, just let it, let's see what happens the next couple of months, because so far Central Michigan, I thought things looked really good. But let's see if they can put something together against Wisconsin, find some answers, because the quarterback is there. The offensive coordinator is there. The offensive line, thanks to Sharon, has improved. And we have tight ends who can catch the ball.
And running backs will be there. Savion Hyder comes in next year. It's a wide. Listen, the donor, they know. I'm telling you, wide receiver. Listen, we all know. We rivals know. We all know. Wide receiver room has to improve. We all know. It's not a coincidence Sheromore singled out that room needing to improve during the bye week. We all know. So I anticipate Michigan will figure that out. I do.
We do have a celebration that it sounds like the Tigers won.
Yeah, I actually have a beef. I have a beef. Okay.
Sure.
All right. Yeah, we won. All right, we won. Good. All right, we won. Now we got to get another one here. We got to get another one. But here's my issue. Why does playoff baseball? Why are there games at 1:00 on a weekday? What are we doing? And it's been like this for a long time. I remember when I was working in 2014, there was a game at 5:30. I had to work, and I was like, "What the fuck, dude?" I was working late that day. I think we were playing against I don't remember I don't remember. It doesn't matter. Point being is, I think it was the Giants, although that doesn't make sense. But anyways, point being is, why the hell is playoff baseball in the afternoon on a weekday? Why are not all playoff games, just like there is in the NBA, just like there's in the NHL? Why are they not at night, 7:30, 8:00, weekend or weekday nights, Friday nights, Saturday nights? I mean, I'm okay with a Saturday 1:00 game. That's fine. A Sunday, they probably don't want to do that because of the NFL season. But regardless, what is this shit? Why? I don't understand why baseball does this. It's stupid. They've done this forever.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
I don't get it.
Ryan Hall didn't even get to see a single pitch today. What's what I mean? You know how I think I saw some crazy stat. I'm gonna butcher the hell out of it, but Tiger's been around for 100+ years. They've only been in the playoffs I don't know, 20 some odd times or whatever. I don't know. It's baseball playoffs are hard to achieve, right? I could be very wrong on that stat, so don't come at me. But it's something like that. It is, teams don't make the playoffs all the time. And then when the teams do make the playoffs, you take it from the fans and they can't even watch the damn game. I don't know. That's my gripe. I think it's stupid.
Yeah. I never went to any of the 1:00 or any of those types of games. I had partial season tickets when I lived next to the Nats Stadium. So we did hit some games. And then I think it was right after I left that that was the year that we won it all. The Nats won the entire thing. And so maybe I wasn't great luck for the team. And then moving away, then they win a World Series.
So it's clear, John. This is a TV issue because I'm looking at tomorrow's schedule, right? Tigers 1 o'clock, San Diego, Chicago 3, and then you have Boston, New York 6, Cincinnati at 9. Obviously, they're just trying to get it on ESPN and ABC. I don't know. I think there's got to be a better way. It's like they're trying to March Madness this shit.
We got Phil with a comment here.
Yeah, I mean, well, they need to change. This is stupid. Like people got shit to
day,
do. I got shit to do tomorrow. I only got to watch the 7th inning on today because I was busy. Like, what is that? I wait all year for this. I go through 160, 65, 62 games, whatever the hell this season is, and then you give me a playoff game at 1 o'clock on a Tuesday. People got shit to do, man. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
we're busy, man. You know, like we're all working. You know, I mean, you know, some of us are not blessed like John to do an OnlyFans, but
not everybody can. Not everybody can pull it off.
Yeah, you know, like not everyone can pull it off. You know, some of us got shit to do. I don't know. It's just bullshit. That's my my soapbox tonight. Bullshit.
Well, with that, I think we've covered wide receivers with an actual wide receiver. We've covered Wisconsin preview, but we're not done, folks. We actually have 2 more live shows this week. So coming up Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, we got Wolverines call-in show live. TJ, anything we should be circling for that one, or?
No, just the game before the game, aka the call-in show. Talking some ball. We got Wisconsin, and we're here for it, man. Looking forward to it.
The reason I ask is that there was a special guest last Thursday with Michelle coming on, and the community really enjoyed the analysis there.
Yeah, she's awesome. Michelle's great, but no guests. It'll be just me and Johnny. So sorry, guys. I know it won't be as pleasantly pleasing on the eyes, but just me and Johnny Olden doing the damn thing, holding it down. But I will say, next Monday will be the very first, and no, I don't have a show name. Show where it'll be 7 o'clock next Monday. Myself and Minnie doing almost like a quick hitter, 30-minute show roughly. So be on the lookout for that. That'll be Monday, 7 o'clock.
Okay, so that's starting Monday at 7 o'clock Eastern.
Check it out. I need to. I'm actually supposed to meet with her this week, and we're supposed to lay it out better. But that's where we are. I just want to give people a heads up. Don't even have a name for it, John. So we'll figure it out though.
Okay. Well, that's exciting, and I'll be watching from the plane, heading to Las Vegas. So next week, I won't be here, but I will be here. I will be here for post games. So coming up Saturday, it'll be TJ and me taking your calls and your super chats. However, the game against Wisconsin goes, and I think we have reason to believe it'll go pretty well. But after the game, we'll take all of your super chats and comments and everything else.
Yep. Looking forward to it, man.
Awesome. Well, coming up next, as always, we want to remind everybody about the show on the main channel called College Football Late Night with Mark Rogers. And I'm going to put the link right here, CFB Late Night, and let Mark know that John and TJ sent you. Let's have Wolverine Nation representing tonight, so that all the Buckeyes who are on there have to deal with us, you know. So definitely a lot of Buckeyes sometimes hang over there. We got to make sure that the Maize and Blue are over there representing too. So join that show in about 25 minutes with Mark Rogers on the main channel. All right. And with that said, don't forget, obviously, to follow us on X, TJ_Ronin, at John Diadamo. And with that said, any last thoughts for our community here?
Yeah, pretty important. Fuck Ohio.
Seconded. All right. With that said, y'all stay tuned. Like I said, 25 minutes for Mark Rogers, and go blue, and we will see you next time.
Go blue.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.